T-minus 1 minute and counting.
Hello.
Four, three, two, one.
Hello. Hello, everyone. Hello, and welcome to yet another Flyer live stream. What have we got tonight? Well, as you can see on the screen, we've got Simon Keating giving us the weather, not just for the weekend, but this time Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That's a 50% increase in weather. Thank you very much, Simon. Unfortunately, we're going to kick off the news after that with some sad news when we talk about Dennis Kenyon, legendary helicopter pilot who's passed away, sadly. After last week's lack of electric aircraft, we've got an electric aircraft back this week, so that's a comforting factor. The government has given more money to aviation, sort of-ish, maybe, so we'll talk about that. Fantasy Hangar, we're talking all about helicopters this week, unsurprisingly, and then we'll talk about a whole bunch of other stuff, and finally we'll finish up with the events that have been cancelled this week. So, anyway, Simon, over to you. Tell us about the weather.
All right, thanks, Ed. Well, 3 charts has actually got to be bad news because it means that the weather is not going to be great for the weekend. So let's just quickly run through them. I've thrown in the Friday chart here as a freebie for you because, well, actually, tomorrow looks like it could be one of the better days of the weekend. Yes, we've got that front that's sort of dragging its way through southwest England, through Wales, into northern England. So low cloud outbreaks of rain across southwest England, Wales, and northwest England during the course of tomorrow. But through the Midlands and perhaps East Anglia, possibly the southeast away from southern coast, may get slightly higher cloud bases of around 2,000 feet. It may break as well, and visibility may just improve. So there is a possibility of flying, I think, mainly tomorrow afternoon across the East Midlands, East Anglia, the southeast. Also, Scotland's looking pretty good tomorrow. Northern Ireland is as well. Bases there about 3,000 to 4,000 feet, decent visibility, but those western coasts always choked up by low cloud. So Saturday, look away now. If you're scared for Halloween, oh, goodness me, that's a Halloween chart for flying. Got a cold front going eastwards. It takes strong winds, gusting up to 35, 40 knots with it. Rain spreading eastwards across the country. Following behind the rain is brighter weather, but look how the isobars get close together across Ireland and across northwest England. The gusts then increase to 50, 55 knots across northern England during Saturday. Things may be a little bit better across southern Wales, perhaps southwest England, perhaps the western and southern Midlands during Saturday afternoon. But you know what? I'm not really holding out much hope. I think that Saturday's another brownie point accumulating day. And then Sunday, just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, we've got more fronts coming through. We've got rain through Scotland. We've got strong winds, some outbreaks of shower rain, northern England, Wales, southwest England as well. The far southeast, again, may be quite breezy, may just be flyable for some local stuff, perhaps around, I'm thinking sort of the home counties, away from southern coast, may be flyable, but, oh, well, it's just yuck, isn't it? I think that's all I can say for this weekend. But keep your fingers crossed, because high pressure may build in second half of this week and into next weekend. We need to watch for mist and fog patches, but it looks more settled at the end of this week and for next weekend as well.
Thank you very much for that, Simon. Nice
is it really? Thank you. I don't know whether it is. Yeah. Do you like it?
Yeah. I like the shirt more than I like the weather.
That shirt is another one of those colour blindness charts, surely, isn't it?
It is. Can you see the secret message written through it? It says, "Don't fly this weekend." Come to weather school. That's what it says. Come to weather school.
Probably a bingo calling number for you or something somewhere.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you very much, Simon. Have a great weekend and enjoy those brownie points.
I think you're going to need to accumulate them. Thanks all. See ya.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
Thank you, Simon. So that was that. Let's move on to the news. Dave.
Right.
Take
Well,
it
the
away.
news this week starts with a very sad item. Dennis Kenyon, world-class helicopter pilot, world champion helicopter pilot, raconteur, fantastic guy. I've worked with him for 20 years, and we did lots of flight tests together for another magazine. And this photograph is taken by a guy called Dave Spurdens for one of the other magazines. This is a Rotorway. But Dennis could fly any helicopter, could jump into it. I flew with him once in a Westland Wasp. We picked it up from Thruxton, flew down the solar. Here we are. Landed at Bembridge, and actually, before we got to Bembridge, he called up Bembridge and asked if he could do a low pass. They said yes, of course, no problem. And we went down the runway at 50 feet, full speed. He pulled up at the end into a stall turn, and then with me hanging off the straps, and just landed it on a sixpence right outside on the apron. He was just a great guy, and lots of fun to be around. He was 88 when he died earlier this month, so he had a good innings, and I'm sure he's propping up the bar somewhere.
If it wasn't such a sad occasion, Dave, I would definitely take the mickey out of you for that picture.
Yes, it is a bit of a weird shot. Dave, the photographer, and myself were all wrapped up because it was a blinking cold day, and Dennis, of course, in his lightweight sports jacket, looking very smart. That was him all over.
Okay.
So moving on.
Oh.
Tecnam and Rolls-Royce are to partner on an electric aircraft. This is it. It's called the P Volt, following Tecnam tradition of calling their new aircraft P something, and it's an 11-seater in its standard form. But with the electric motors and batteries on board, it's going to be a 9-seater, although it could be configured for cargo, medevac, special missions, that sort of thing. There's no timescale put on it at the moment, but we know Rolls-Royce are very keen to move on with the decarbonisation of aviation, as they call it.
It's interestingly, normally the Tecnam aircraft have a P and then the year in which they're designed, don't they? Say P 2006, P 2012. So interestingly, they didn't even give this one a year. I wonder if that's
I guess it's a development now of the P2012, isn't it? So
it is, yeah.
But let me have a bit of fun.
no one wants an airline. No one wants to be reminded of 2020, I guess.
Good point.
That's a very good point. So there's a little update on the Catalina that had engine failure at Loch Ness. They've managed to lift it out of the water and onto a bit of quayside where they're going to attempt to repair the problem with the engine and then fly it out. That's the only thing they can do with it, really. It's too big to take by road unless you seriously dismantle it. No one really wants to do that. So they're going to get to work on that. They've raised an astonishing sum of money on a crowdfunding campaign to get the aircraft fixed and back. £23,000, I think it was the last time I looked.
That's really good.
Yeah.
That's astounding.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I didn't have a picture of that. Apologies.
Okay. Next on the news is a total aviation person, as we call him. It's a chap called David Curtis. He's 24 years old. He's won the Liz Inwood Tail Dragger Award, awarded by the Vintage Aircraft Club and the LAA. David is, we've got a little story on him on the website. He's 24. He flies Club Cessna 150 at eShot, but he's also working in the engineering hangar, assisting on various vintage aircraft. And he's bought an Evans VP1 without an engine, and it needs it's non-flying. He's going to have to restore it. So he's a worthy winner of that.
Yeah.
So
Paul Kiddell says David's a great lad at eShot. So that's a ringing endorsement.
Well done, David.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
We need more Davids and Davinas.
Yep. Next up, the Grob Able. You may remember that various Ministry of Defence Vigilance were grounded for various reasons. They've been sold off, and Airability, the charity, has managed to buy a lot of them. And it's gone about it in a very efficient way. It's got in touch with Grob, naturally enough, and Grob has worked out what needs to be done to them to get them flyable again. They fitted new engines, Rotax 912 IS engines. They're replacing the avionics. There's a whole bunch of upgrades they put into the aircraft.
There's some avionics.
And they're about to go on sale. Some of them are going to be kept by Airability itself to increase its fleet and fly more people. And some of them will just be offered for sale. There's no price, as mentioned, as yet. I've been trying to get one of those, but no price. So we'll see. But it's a very nice motor glider, very long wings, 57 feet wingspan. So that requires some hangar.
Yeah, I quite fancy a Grob. You know, I think a Grob's a kind of nice, chilled, long. You know, it's not. If you want to go places, you don't want to spend much money. The operating costs of a Grob have got to be pretty low, and it's a pretty nice. You know, Tim Jews takes his Grobs all over, off down to Portugal for displays and all sorts of things, and they just looks like they have huge amounts of fun touring with the Grobs. You know, life at whatever it is must be 80, 90 knots, I guess. Yeah. Life at 90 knots is quite a nice, relaxed, chilled, great way to see things. Bit of a big wing if you got to put it in a hangar. That's the only thing. But you know, I wouldn't mind a Grob. I have to say. There you go. I've said it out loud.
There we go.
Right. Yes. Looking at some figures, they've got an endurance of 7 hours, 10 minutes, which at about, I guess it is about 90 knots. Yeah. That should actually, they're saying the cruise speed is 109 knots. So the maximum cruise speed. So
I'll be
7 hours at 7 hours at 109 knots. You'd probably get to Spain.
I'm guessing they might be a bit more efficient with the new Rotax in. So
yes, yeah.
This point reminds us that the wings are foldable on the 109.
All right.
Are they?
Yeah, apparently Dave should know.
Dave White was that?
Yes.
It wasn't this one. Yeah.
He will definitely know.
Yeah.
Intentionally foldable as well.
Not between two trees. Mike Miller Smith says 100. Yeah, it has put an exclamation mark on the end of the 110 knots. So Mike, no.
Yes, I got to fit. You know, sometimes you see like an aircraft performance somewhere, and it says it'll do 100. All the side by side 2-seat Rotax 912 ULS aircraft all do roughly the same speed. Yeah, there are a couple of exceptions. And everyone's going, oh, no, this will do 135 knots. And you just know full well that that's going to be on the red line. It's screaming away. Just come on, guys. No one flies a Rotax like that for long.
Maybe operating handbooks need a new category of cruise, which is called comfortable cruise.
Comfortable. There you go. I think. Yes, indeed.
Yes. Yeah. So, Ian, you know a bit about this. More money for airfields, perhaps.
I do. It's kind of like it came out today. So the government have launched a scheme in order to. It was launched a little while ago, or they spoke about it a little while ago about launching a scheme to help airfields. And this is a whole bunch of money that's been provided by the DFT, and the scheme's going to be managed with by the CAA. But it's not really. You know, the airfields are not going to fill their cash registers with government money, as it were. So this money goes towards consultants that can be organised that the airfields can talk to find out how they can make themselves more sustainable, more commercially viable, how they can attract more customers, etc., etc. So it's kind of it's a difficult thing. I mean, there are certainly some airfields that I've been to that I'm not going to name right now that could do with a little bit of training, a bit of consultancy, and a bit of, how can you do a better job of looking after your customers. But there are also some absolutely fantastic little airfields that could probably teach an awful lot more people, including some of the busier, more, let's call them structured strips that do a fantastic job of providing a service. So it's interesting. Let's see what happens. Let's see what the outcome is. Let's be positive about the outcome. It's a good thing.
Yeah. Do you know what number one recommendation would be from a lot of people? Decent loos.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because some of them are pretty awful.
There's
won't name any
a
names.
feature. Maybe we should have that in our fantasy hangar. What's your
I think
fantasy?
Lou.
There we go. Right.
Yeah. Okay, so we want to talk a little bit about the issue and that feature, Ed.
So issue update. So you may have noticed that the December issue went live yesterday. Obviously off the back of the £250 rebate made available by the CAA for electronic conspicuity equipment, Ian and I and some friends of Flyer got together and we gathered up some EC devices and just did some flying to see who sees what and how all these things perform. I'll give you no spoilers, so there's no need for a spoiler alert, but read the article, watch the video. There's a lot of takeaway from that. We've been having some great feedback. A lot of people say it's given a lot of clarity to some of their purchasing decisions and the like. So we're really happy about that. But yeah, read it. And make an informed decision, because EC is important, and there's no better time at the moment when you've got 250 quid off. That'll get you at least 50% off a whole bunch of the really top kit, and make a whole bunch of kit cheaper as well. So yeah, do that. Elsewhere in the mag, we've got a going constant speed feature. So if you've ever fancied doing that, trading up from fixed pitch, that's a good inspiring feature on that. There's a great flying adventure going to the Hebrides this summer, and camping, which, as Dave described, is definitely the hair shirt award winner for flying and adventuring in a Piper Arrow. Plus, in Top Gear, we've got a whole bunch of Christmas gift ideas. So just say no to bad socks and terrible Christmas jumpers. We need people to see this. There's good ideas in there, plus all the normal stuff. So yeah, check it out.
So one of the small upsides of COVID, of which there are not very many, of course, is that the Bath Christmas markets have been cancelled this year. So there you go. Talking about it's not Bath and Christmas. Just sorry.
I quite enjoyed the Bath Christmas markets.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you stock up on your potpourri and your scented candles for the year?
Well, yeah, you can buy tacky things here. You know, a bit of tack goes a long way sometimes.
Sorry, I do apologise. I don't know where people will get their flavoured oil from now. Anyway.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Right.
Right. That's it on the news. What's next?
Right.
Fancy hangar. So, in honour of to celebrate the Dennis Kenyon and his helicopter legacy, we decided it would be a fantastic idea to pick our fantasy helicopter for Fantasy Hangar. So hopefully, at least one of these choices would get Dennis's nod of approval. Maybe even both. Maybe all three. So, who's first?
I think Dave's got to be first. Dave, you ready for this?
Yes, I am. Yes.
So, talk us through.
This is the winner. Full stop. This is a MD 500E, and people call it the Ferrari of helicopters. It's just fast, nimble, very fast and very nimble, and it looks great. And this is being flown by the sheriff of somewhere, sheriff of Texas, I think. And I want to have sheriff written on the side of mine as well. So, because I think that's very cool. But it's just a gorgeous helicopter, quite small by helicopter standards, but that's what makes it fast. It's also preferred by the military as a tank buster. That's what it was developed as, a light utility military helicopter. Originally, of course, the Hughes 500, but it's just fast, very powerful, very nimble, and just a brilliant helicopter, the Ferrari of helicopters.
I've got to say, it's quite a nice choice. And did you know, because when it started out as the Hughes 500, apparently Howard Hughes disagreed with the whole flying the helicopter from the right. And so Hughes helicopters were flown from the left.
I didn't know that. And
hopefully I've remembered that correctly. Otherwise, send your complaints to complaints@sega.com.
Complaints at that round. One of the best days flying I've ever had since anyway, one of the best days flying I've ever had. We went to the MD Helicopters factory in Phoenix, and for whatever reason, 2 or 3 of the helicopters we were supposed to fly weren't available. They were broken, or the pilots weren't available. And so effectively, we didn't waste the whole trip because we went there for a load of other stuff, but we couldn't fly anything at all. So the next time they said, please, next time you're in the States, please come back. Please come back. So we did. And we said, okay, we're in the States. And they said, okay, turn up at the factory 7 o'clock in the morning. We got to the factory and they went, okay, you got an MD 900 Explorer, you got an MD 500. These were all NOTAR, and the MD 600. 3 pilots, yours. There was 3 of us, yours for the day. Do what you like. And we just hooned around the desert in these things. It was just an amazing day, I have to say. Fantastic, fantastic helicopters. And we got some really good features and some stunning photography out of it as well. Absolutely brilliant day. Anyway, sorry, I digress. Ed, do you want to go first, or are you gonna go with the I go last and that makes you win option?
No, you're in the running order. You're next.
I'm next. In that case, I'm going to go next. So that was one of the best flying days I've had, and this is another one of the best flying days I've had. It's a Lynx. Years ago, we did a big feature on Navy pilots converting onto Lynxes, and as part of it, we embarked on the Royal Fleet Auxiliary Argus and did a whole bunch of flying, and including a Lynx. So I got to fly a Lynx. I got to land on the back of a deck. I got to go off and look for some ship somewhere in it. I got winched up, and it was an absolutely fantastic experience. And I have to say, clearly, I'm never really going to own a Lynx, but in my fantasy hangar there'll be one. And it was a great airplane to fly. And this like super fast. I think the Lynx still holds the speed record for a helicopter. Although Dave,
Well, that's the case. I think did Airbus take it? One of their creations.
And the other thing, I don't know if they still do it at air shows, but the Lynx would do that whole back flip because of the sort of non-teetering head, which that's got to be a pretty cool thing to do, hasn't it?
Yeah, I've got to say there's some good suggestions in the comments. Keir Williams says Brantley B2B.
Ice cream.
Suggested a Huey. Carol de Sol has gone large and has gone Chinook.
Chinook, right.
Really small cockpit in a Chinook. Not sure about that.
Bus of all helicopters, I think, isn't it? So
yeah.
Roger Breckle says Bolco 105 for Aeros. However, I've got to say, none of you are winners, because clearly the absolute best fancy helicopter ever created has got to be this. Show the picture, Ian. Yes. So who's with me? I'm sure plenty of you will be children of the 80s. And I've got to say, when I was a kid growing up, when I was 10, Airwolf, or which is based on a Bell 222, was completely mesmerizing, and it's kind of pretty formative for me with flying. But it's just the Bell 222 is a lovely helicopter. Paint it up to look like Airwolf. Clearly, it's a beautiful bit of sculpture. So,
would you get out of it and get into your, what was that kit car thing that was around the same time?
Oh, Knight Rider.
Knight Rider. There you go.
Plenty of TV references. I think plenty of people will love Airwolf. So who wouldn't want that? So it would be the guaranteed thing. You'd have it in your fancy hangar. People would walk in and drop stuff because they'd just be so amazed.
So I can't see the comments, unfortunately, at the moment. So tell me, are people supporting you, Ed, or do they all recognise that the Lynx is the way to go?
Bell 222, so that's a tick. Eugene Byrne says that the Bell 222, definitely. Roger Breckle reminds us that Airwolf had whisper mode, so it could be very quiet. It also apparently went faster than the speed of sound, which I think they might have been making up, because I think it's not at that speed. Adrian Norris suggests the Fairley Rotodyne, which I think may have been an autocorrect and probably meant the Fairy Rotodyne. But I'm not sure. Was that really a helicopter?
It was a gyro, wasn't it? It was built just outside of White Waltham.
Didn't that have had power at the end of the tips of the rotors?
It had ramjet. Was it ramjets at the end of the? Or was it augmented? It blew air out the. Anyway, if you cut the rotor blades in half, they had air ducts in. I think
that's right. Yeah.
Yes.
There's quite a few people suggested the Gazelle, which I have to admit I've forgotten about. The Gazelle is a great helicopter.
Gazelle, Gazelle's pretty good. Kevin Arblaster has come against my Airwolf thing by suggesting Blue Thunder. which is an 80s TV helicopter throwback, which I believe was built on a Gazelle.
Yeah.
Never heard of it.
Yeah.
So,
Well, of course, Dennis would have liked them all because he was such a good pilot. He could fly them all.
yeah, I saw there was a brilliant video popped up on Facebook of him displaying at Shoreham a few years ago in is it Schweitzer 300?
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
It's just brilliant to watch. Just brilliant to watch. He was he could make a helicopter do anything he wanted. So
yeah.
No.
Okay, well, I've won that.
Helicopters. Sorry.
I've won that, so let's move on.
Talking of helicopters, if anyone's looking for a great helicopter book, then go and read Chicken Hawk.
Yes.
yes,
If you haven't read it already.
fantastic book.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
We still have time.
We still have time. Yes.
You still have time. Excellent.
So we can either do crazy things Ian found on the internet or events this week that may or may be cancelled.
I'm going to sneak in crazy things we found on the internet because we've got a little bit of time. The first one, sorry about this, people. We've been meaning to do this for a couple of weeks. I don't know if you remember, I don't know if you're aware, but there's a guy who's developing the Raptor, which is a canard aircraft. It's due to be pressurized. It's running with a 300 horsepower Audi diesel engine. He's working really, really hard. A guy called Peter in the States, and it's kind of like developing it on YouTube, if you like. So pretty much every flight, almost every day, there's a video of how it's going. And the other day, maybe 5-10 days ago, he took his first flight. And I don't know if you've seen it, but here's a very shortened version of his first flight. So take a look at this.
Wow.
That was that seemed kind of unstable in pitch to me, and it seemed there was a nice little fugoid going on. And in fact, he kind of took off and returned and landed on a sort of cross runway. So I guess he wasn't hugely happy with the way it was flying in the air.
I think the thing is, he's got so little clearance.
Engine and a brand new airframe.
It's got so little clearance between the prop, doesn't it? The prop is almost touching.
You don't want to over flare, I guess. I don't know whether you can actually flare the prop into the ground or not, but if you can, somebody will.
Yeah.
And then finally, I've got just a little short thing. I don't know if you guys follow Jonas Marchenko. He's probably he's kind of in the Trent Palmer style, bit of bush flying. He does some flying with Trent as well. He's probably the how can I put the most exuberant, should we say? Yeah, he goes to a few places. Anyway, he was flying his airplane and landed the other day, and this is...
That sucks really bad. Wrecked the Capella. It's actually not in that bad of shape. We hit a hay bale.
I love the eyes. It's actually not in that bad a shape.
It's not. It doesn't need a dustpan to sweep up.
No, absolutely. But to both of them, they both put their YouTube videos out there, warts and all, which is a good thing, and to be applauded. So that was the bit I've been waiting to get out. Over to you, Dave. What events have been cancelled this week?
Well, there's one that's supposed to be still taking place. That's the Halloween flying at Sturgate. I checked this afternoon, and they're still saying it's going to happen. So unless it slips into a COVID tier in the next day, that should be going ahead. If you want to go to a Halloween do, that is. Of course, Pilot Careers Live Virtual is happening next week. We've all been working really hard on this. It's quite a special event, isn't it, Ian? You've been involved in it more than anybody.
Yeah. So basically, another part of the business alongside Flyer was a series of physical events for people who are interested in a career in aviation, a career on the flight deck. And I think in 2019 we ran something like 9 events, not just in the UK but throughout Europe. And clearly, COVID put an end to that. We had one at the very beginning of 2020, which was in Dublin. And then since then, we haven't had any events. So rather than just sit back and wait for it all to get sorted, we've been developing and running our own virtual event. So the first virtual event goes live on November the 6th. It runs November the 6th and 7th. We've got probably about 12 hours of streaming broadcast stuff happening. So lots of great content. It's completely free to register. So if you want to register, go to www.pilotcareerslive.com and register. And we'll see you online there, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yes.
Melanie Moxon points out Sturgate, along with the rest of Humberside, will be Tier 2 on Saturday.
I think looking at Simon's weather chart for Saturday, nobody really needs to worry about what tier they're going to be in and whether they can fly, because I don't think there's going to be any. It's not a flying for fun day on Saturday, is it?
No.
Yes, it's a wheel the aeroplane outside and it blows away. Probably not a good idea.
No.
However, if that promised high that Simon mentioned kicks in,
yes.
The following weekend, there's the Vintage Saturday at Compton Abbas. Now, I live just a couple of miles from Compton Abbas, so I know that there's not any Tier 2 or Tier 3 about to be imposed, not here in Dorset. And
so you can go and meet Dave.
And,
so when they called it the Vintage Fly-In, did they mean that you were going?
yes, I qualify. Yes. The Light Aircraft Design Conference is on 16th of November. This is online. If you're a Flyer Club member, you can get £15 off the ticket. And of course, another virtual event is the Airability Aviators Ball on November 28th. You can find out about all these events on the Flyer website under the events section with the links and everything you need to know there. So it's 2000 exactly.
Look at
Excellent. That just leaves me just to make a little plea to everybody. If you're watching this on YouTube, do us a favor, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. If you're watching it on Facebook, thank you very much. If you're not a member of the Flyer Club, please consider joining. £2.50 a month, payable quarterly, £7.50 a quarter, and we'd all be very, very grateful. And it helps us produce the live stream and all sorts of other content, which you might not think is worth £2.50 a month, but we do. Absolutely. I hope so, anyway. Thank you very much, everyone. I look forward to seeing you next week. Next week's going to be a bit challenging because Dave and I will be over getting ready for the virtual Pilot Careers Live virtual the next day. So not quite sure how we're going to do the live stream, but there will be a way. There will be a live stream next week. So come and join us then. It will probably be a bit different, but we'll see what happens. So thanks very much, and see you all soon.
See you.
Take care, everyone.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.